Hello everyone and welcome to Gierok Farms. In today's video we got to grind a batch of feed, clean up the granary, and then we got a little bit of pre-hay season prep here to do in the shop. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to work. All right, we're cleaning up in the corn bin in the granary. We got everything but the back wall. So Dad, he's gonna hook up the hydraulics now for the belly auger in this bin, and we're gonna get this cleaned out. So we'll be done with all the shelled corn in the granary for the summer, which would be good now that it's starting to get hot. We don't have to worry about this spoiling. And it kept really nice. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing. This is the corn off of the field that I rented, so it's pretty fulfilling seeing it put to work and seeing that it kept nice. It was dry enough. So let's get this bin cleaned up so we can get that batch of feed ground. Okay, we got that bin cleaned out. He's gonna move over now with the grinder mixer. We're gonna put the oats on and the mineral on. we finished grinding feed. When it comes to summer, are you doing anything different with your mineral?
Well, I did ask our nutrition person to take that in consideration. So they test your hay, they test what you feed all winter, and then, okay, now we're going to be grazing as of these weeks. And she never really got back to me. They may have adjusted a few things. You have to trust, because I mean, we just look at it. It's just granular product, and you have to trust that they're not just trying to sell you stuff.
Because with the cows on pasture, they might be getting more mineral out there, with the
They're more likely to balance their own ration because they have the choice to. So in this driftless region we're in, we have sand, clay, loams. We have a variety of a lot of different minerals because we're so, and in these hills. So the cattle, I know I had a friend too, and he was pretty big in getting milk out of them cows and getting things balanced right. And he claims that he was a nutritionist says this is the right mineral for the cows, but he said when he puts them outside, they would go and lick the banks, And I noticed the calf barn will do that too. When the winter we're cleaning, they'll be licking the bank, and they usually will balance their own diet if they can. But when they're confined, or bitterness of winter, deep snow, ice, I mean, they can't get at all that stuff. We have to add it. So cows, they're given this milk that's so nutritious to keep us healthy. We have to put that health back into them when we're taking it out of them. We're putting it back in.
Yeah, it's just like a crop. You got to put some nutrients back.
Yeah. So there's very critical.
As you can see in the background here, switching gears, Dad has been prepping the equipment for hay. We're going to be haying here soon. You got the disc spine hooked up to the 7510 with the new tires. You got the 7810 with the 1085 Gale chopper set up for hay, ready to go, and we got that dual on the other side. Did you end up putting that
the band in?
The band, yeah.
Yeah, it went in real good. I think part of it is because this chopper's never been left outside. That's a big part. And when all that feed going through there's little acidity, like silages and stuff.
Yeah, so last year, this is in that spout of the chopper.
The metal. And what happens, so this is where the feed comes out of the blower, and that's where most of the pressure was, where they made the feed turn and flow into the box. But I'm not going to throw this away because I think I could cut this off, and I think our hole spacings are the same. That I guess in the future, instead of buying a whole band again, it's probably going to do the same thing. It'll make a hole there. We could probably use that lower chunk. It may not. Or a person could lap. You could actually cut this part out and lap it. Because they're not making Gale choppers anymore. Gale is only into construction equipment. So, and I don't know, this was some crazy money. All they did, this thin band and a few bolts they sent with, which you kind of got to have it. This is why we were plugging up. I noticed the last couple years.
Yeah, so during corn silage, we plugged up last year and then had some issues years prior. And yeah, it started to build up right there. There was a lot of hay.
I think it was the first load of corn silage. So after getting done doing our hay, maybe there was a little friction from the hay gumming up or catching up in here, because that was all in it. You can't see that. You got to take shields off to see that. Before you know it, once that kind of starts interfering, then I think after the first load, it kind of cleaned it up, shined it up a little more, because corn is more like an oil or hay. It's easier for the chopper to throw that corn in.
Yeah, let's show them where that is on the chopper to put the picture together. So here's the spout that band's in, and then here's a plate that we could
probably. There she is, brand new, so got the paint on it. Yeah, that went in really easy. And the big thing, the old one come out pretty nice, and then to get in there and scrape out anything that was on the edges so that the new one went in nice. And, here's an example too. You get this little buildup, and where the feed doesn't flow all the time, but easy fix. I would rather have this than other things.
One of my friends has a New Holland chopper, and it looked like with his blower back here that he had to replace
part of the band.
Yeah, just
so
like
this
that.
one has got, they all got that, but yeah, they'll all wear different depending on the design. So so here this band, and I don't know if a rock or something happens to start goes through and makes kind of a some guys got sandy ground, you may have more friction because you just got But the nice thing when it comes to the spout, my 865, this is the same. From here up it's the same. Plan B would have been take it off that one, because I didn't have that going with that one. But again, that's got a little bit smaller blower. We never had trouble filling boxes or nothing. I think once it gets a hole, it's just how it is. This one is bigger capacity, move faster, more feed, more friction, more heat, you know, it's just all that stuff. And right now she's super clean. She's been cleaned up from fall yet. I did sharpen the knives. Everything's been greased and oiled. Mostly in the fall because I know what's what yet. Now in the spring, there's so much going on. But feed comes to here, auger pushes it over into the blower, which is a very good design. I think they used to have spinners. And I know you guys, some of you guys that had Gale are going to say that. Yeah, we had the spinners, and I know a guy that had them, and sometimes that would plug. And maybe because he's on a side hill more, or you know the feed wasn't, you know, something with the texture of the crop. And then the 865, the blower is actually right behind the cutter head. So actually this spout was a little more into the middle of the machine. So anyway, that was a good design. It just was just smaller, you know, it didn't have the capacity. Less moving parts. One thing I noticed is last fall this one's all fixed up for corn silage, and that processor's in there and the head's on. So then when we've done a little bit of third crop or the new seeding, then we hook on the old chopper just for those 6, 8, 10 loads, whatever it is. It brings you back to like, gosh, this thing ain't hardly using any power compared. We're pulling less, it's lighter, but then again, you get pushed around more in the hills.
So there's the update with the hay equipment. We also wanted to briefly mention that we got some twine. Our dad and mom did yesterday. So you guys got some twine, and then you got 3 different style tarps here.
Yeah, so we got they're all 150 feet. It's kind of neat because this place we've been doing business with now just for a couple different years. They kind of handle what we like to have. A lot of times they'll have the width, but they won't have the length you want. So everything's 150. So a 50-foot wide, a 40-foot wide, and a 32-foot wide. And we may not need the 32, but it's a kind of a situation, just like now, we don't know what the weather is going to be. Are we going to be able to do it all within 3 days, or are we only going to get 2 days, and then we may use the smaller tarp? You just don't know. You don't know how much feed you're going to get and stuff, so you got to have them on hand, and then they don't have them, and it's all that. And then you pay more.
And so far, their tarps have been higher quality compared to the previous place we worked with. I think these guys carry more new inventory because they have more small dairies that they service. So
I think it has a lot to do with the business and in general, the deals they make with these companies they buy this stuff from. So for instance, if there's a manufacturing defect, like the tarp might have, like that one year we had a few small holes. It's not the end of the world. These things can happen, but I believe wherever this stuff got purchased from needs to go back. It's like putting a new roof on, it's got holes in it. You know, that's just a no-brainer. Some farmers may not be as particular or even notice it. Once you establish a good relationship with where you're purchasing your product, because it all comes back around. You know, the farmers talk. They say, don't get this one because of this. I'd rather have that one. And then what are they going to do with that? They can't use it. They need us to buy it. Got to keep the quality there. Yeah, and then here, I know my brother, he bales a lot of hay too. This is all going to go into the small square baler. These numbers are always a bit confusing. There's a 4,400 or a 450. This is twine typically for the big square balers where they make the 3x3x8s and the 3x4x8s. And so usually they'll even use heavier twine than this, but this is the biggest I would recommend using in a little square baler. We've been using this now for 4 or 5 years. I noticed that if you get like what they call a typical 9,000, and it's not a sisal, it's a plastic, but it's really thin. It's almost like handling wire. They're really hard on the hands, and it will break. It's still strong enough, but if the hay's a little off or something, or if the bale happens with the rack wrong, it breaks open, and then you got a mess. So a few more dollars, and we can avoid the mess. And it's kind of a thing where there's enough headaches to go at making hay. We don't need the penny pinching and then have that happen. So anyway, but there's only one issue. So my brother, he bought his from a different place. He brought one ball over here. We're like laying them side by side. We're looking at the label. They're both made in Turkey, but the big name on there is different. His was red, this is blue. Same thing it was. So then in our balers, my 575, and now this is the 50, the BC 50 something, I don't know, it's the bigger one. The box is designed to hold 8 balls, but the compartments are too small. Some of them in the corners, I can get these bigger ones in, so I would have to bend some of my, my box holders. So you have to have at least 4 in there in order to bale without running out of twine. Not the end of the world, but all they needed to do was make them slightly tall and a little skinnier. So they would fit that baler. What are we? We're We're the few in between that are still going this route yet. So
Yeah. I imagine in the round baler, they'd probably fit pretty nice in that side compartment. As for the round baler, I got 2 rolls of net wrap over there. We got a roll in the baler itself, and I think we actually have that wider, smaller roll. Or did we use that up?
Well, yeah, they sent a kind of a starter roll width that kind of came with the baler. Yeah, and you're gonna probably end up doing a little custom work. I know that'll work good. So we kind of share some of the expense, and then we kind of balance it out at the end of the year when everything is said and done. So
The dogs are playing. Anyways, you guys leave some comments down below about what type of net wrap or twine that you use. I'd be curious, especially because I just got that through John Deere. They had a good rebate during the fall and winter season, but I'd be curious to know if there's different alternatives that you guys like more. So leave your comments down below.
yeah, and I think it's best to get their twine, being that the baler was bought from there. So we have warranties and different.
Yeah, we shouldn't have any issues. Everything should.
Yeah, right. It's like this, you can only prepare so much, and I think somebody maybe even commented a while back, it's like, you can prepare forever, but you'll never be 100%, because you just don't know where the weak link is. There's one more thing I thought about asking or talking about here. These are the knives, you got a right and a left.
This is for the disc spine for that 630
there's like
Moco.
an arrow on there. So one side's never been used, and when I put them in, so this pod would turn, this would be the side that does the cutting, so it would go this way. But it's twisted a little bit, so this is down, so I feel like when you're cutting, it's almost like trying to lift the hay as it's cutting. I don't know if I should be using the other edge, if I flip it over, it may not, you wouldn't think it would make any difference. I've always just put new ones on and only use the one side, but I'm thinking we're gonna be okay. And then I was wondering, well, does it just respond different to different crops?
Yeah. So you guys running 630 Mocos or just Mocos in general, let us know if you can flip flop the knives or if it has to be directional, like how they're labeled.
Well, and that's just it. So really you just got a beveled edge. Well, if you flip it over, there's no beveled edge here. It's underneath instead of on top. But you can't take this, you can't put it on the one that runs the other way. There's 2 different directions. It can get a little confusing, so when you start replacing them, you have to try not to mix things up, because you have to make sure, because you can start cutting and then you got that one streak, it's not cutting it off right. But we used to do the sickle mower stuff all the time. I could switch all that out in the field. That was, you move slower and all that. And they did a nice job of cutting. They kind of were more of a scissors type of cutting when you do that, versus these almost like a lawnmower blade. I'm thinking that to get more life out of these blades, and they kind of get wore out. They get beat up a little bit. Out of all the machines that we've been replacing, I think my hay mower kind of catches the biggest beating. We do cut a lot of hay.
While we're talking about hay equipment, I was kind of looking for some input from you guys. So that Magnum we're going to try packing with this year. I got a front set of weights for it so we could really weight down the front. But I was telling Dad that I was thinking about building some type of weight system for that 3-point in the back. Really weight that thing down front and back. So if you guys have any ideas for that, feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, or email us a picture of what you got or have seen on Magnum.
Well, there's probably a million different ways to do that. But what do you got over there for weights? You got a bunch of weights there. You planning on chucking them all on there just because?
If I put weight on the back. Right now I think it's ballast really good. So I wouldn't want to mess with it. But if we put something on the back, then we'd put them on the front.
So comparing the weight of that 1066 with just the factory weights, there's a real huge difference between your Magnum and that one. But my 10 is full of water in the back too. And then there's a suitcase on front. And then with being 4-wheel drive, you're going to be able to straddle that edge without a mishap. And then as we get up there taller, occasionally pulling a load across, especially with corn silage.
Yeah, corn silage would be really nice having that Magnum around.
I think, because this guy, we throw duals on and stuff, but this is the one that it's a little bit, I guess it's more friendly running it out in the field, and we hook it.
Yeah, both them John Deeres will be nicer for hauling loads. The Magnum,
it gives us options. And then in case my 78 would become an issue, what we need to do, even before we hay yet here, we should look at your electrical, so we have some kind of adapter plug the panel can.
Yeah, I think we'll be able to make it work. I have power going in the cab for that.
So the adapter.
Yep.
It's not going to be when we have all this time.
Yeah.
You have to stay ahead of that. So right now I can put them choppers, all my choppers on my 1066, the 75, well, and even on this one. Of course, you don't get the horsepower, so it's really going to slow things down. But in case something would go with one, you're able to just switch things up, keep going, and then worry about the fix later.
We can't do that though to them John Deere guys. We can't let the Magnum take over.
I'm sure they'll have some. That's what's fun about it, though. They all got there. The neat thing is it's the old school. I'm really impressed on how people love that. They see that red tractor, it's kind of like, oh, we got to see what this is about.
Someone might actually want to stay in the packing tractor this year because that's got AC and all that.
Maybe your little brother will be. And he'll probably blow your speakers out, though.
Yeah, that'd be the next thing. But anyways, it was fun communicating with you guys. Make sure to leave plenty of comments down below. Hay season, it's right around the corner. It was fun to get a batch of feed ground. It's always fun to watch that and get the granary cleaned out. But we appreciate you all sticking to the end. Thank you all for watching. Leave those comments, share, like, and subscribe. And we will see you all next time.